The newest Thor movie has stormed into theaters and it's attracted the most buzz of any recent MCU project. There's been a lot of focus on the fact that apparently a lot of really compelling scenes have been left on the cutting room floor. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the scenes that have been confirmed to have been removed from the movie and some that have been rumored. So how much was cut from the movie? Reportedly, it was a tremendous amount. According to The Ringerverse's Joanna Robinson, so much was cut from Thor: Love and Thunder that it ended up changing the whole storyline. Supposedly, the assembly cut of the movie, which usually includes all the footage that was filmed, was 4.5 hours long. The final runtime of the movie, under 2 hours. Among the casualties of the editing was Christian Bale himself. You'd think that if a movie had a star of that caliber, he'd be a massive focus of the movie, but that isn't the case in the final cut. A lot of his god butchering ended up being excised from the film, to the point where Bale was clearly annoyed to be doing promo. In fact, knowing his god butchery was cut from the movie gives us ideas of what some of the actors who were cut were supposed to be doing. You see, Thor: Love and Thunder had a gaggle of high-profile actors, higher profile than the main trio, on its sets. Most of those actors are nowhere to be found in the released version of the movie. Among them was Peter Dinklage and Jeff Goldblum. These are actors who already have established roles in the MCU. Dinklage played Eitri the blacksmith, who forged Thor's Stormbreaker axe, while Jeff Goldblum was the Grandmaster, keeping Thor on Sakaar in Thor Ragnarok. It's safe to say that these actors would be reprising their roles in Love and Thunder, and Bale has confirmed that he had worked with both of them. Another major actor who got left out of the movie was Lena Headey. You wouldn't think it's possible to mess with Cersei like that, but that's exactly what Waititi and the studio did. This would have been her MCU debut, as she's never played a Marvel character before, but she's out of the movie now. She must be especially annoyed because she's facing a lawsuit from her talent agency for their cut of the earnings from this movie. There are rumors abound that Alyssa Milano was cut from the movie too. That's a lot of stuff lying on the cutting room floor, and Bale has said in interviews that the stuff that got cut out was beautiful and brilliant, which begs the question, why was it all taken out? Well, we only have Taika Waititi's word for it, and he's adamant that removing those scenes was the right thing to do. He says that the amount of editing done on Love and Thunder was the same as any other movie he's worked on, and the scenes that were cut deserved the cutting. In his opinion, the scenes weren't good enough, either individually or as part of the larger movie. If the cutting choices were all his, then we probably ought to trust his statement on the matter. Waititi was the same man who reinvigorated the Thor franchise in the first place with his work on Ragnarok, and that movie didn't receive any buzz for its cutscenes. In fact, Chris Hemsworth has openly said that Waititi is the only reason he's still Thor. But there are other grumblings about this situation too. Rumor has it that Marvel Studios pushed Waititi to keep the movie's runtime under 2 hours. That sounds surprising to us because this was the same studio that made the epic Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Our best guess as to why Marvel might have mandated a shorter running time for Love and Thunder would be thanks to the backlash they received for the length of Eternals. At 2 hours and 36 minutes, it's the second longest movie in the MCU, behind Endgame, and longer than Infinity War. Even if that is the case though, it's unfair. Spider-Man No Way Home is a whole half hour longer than Love and Thunder. Come on, Feige. Whatever the reasoning behind the runtime of Love and Thunder, the mission of keeping the movie under 2 hours has been accomplished. Thanks to stab-happy editing, Thor: Love and Thunder is officially the 7th shortest movie in the MCU, only 7 minutes longer than the actual shortest movie. If you're wondering what the shortest movie is, it's The Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton's sole outing in the MCU. But this doesn't have to be a big deal. After all, we could just wait until the director's cut on home media. Yeah, we wouldn't advise you to get your hopes up about that. Taika has seen Twitter trends like #release the Waititi cut, and he ain't having none of it. Not only does he insist that cutting the scenes was the right thing to do, he's actually pretty vocally anti-director's cut. In his opinion, directors who have the option to make their cut of the movie tend to make them way too long. He went as far as to say that the directors include tea breaks in their director's cuts. For Love and Thunder, Waititi says that his hypothetical director's cut would have a handful more jokes, but we should take the theatrical version as the ultimate version of the movie. This is all a moot point, of course. It turns out that no matter how much we badger Waititi about the deleted scenes, Marvel themselves have not given Waititi an option to make a director's cut, so he couldn't do it even if he wanted to, and he says he doesn't. Perhaps we should just be happy with what we have. Next, in other news, is Thor: Love and Thunder Thunder worthy? The critics don't seem to think so. Looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score for Thor Love and Thunder, it sure seems like the movie was a big letdown for most movie critics. The tomato meter rating has currently settled at 68%, which makes this one of the lowest rated Marvel movies of all time. Specifically, the movie is the 4th lowest rated movie and the 7th lowest rated MCU project overall. The movie outscores the MCU's main punching bag, Thor: The Dark World, by just 2%. However, it falls way short of Ragnarok's 93% rating. It does rate higher than The Incredible Hulk and Eternals, the latter of which is the lowest rated MCU movie of all time. Speaking of the Eternals, Love and Thunder does manage to avoid being the worst rated Phase 4 project, but it would take a lot to get to the Eternals' depressing 47% score. Some final fun facts for those who are curious. We already mentioned that Eternals is the lowest rated MCU movie, but it's actually the Inhumans show that sits on the bottom of the MCU rankings on Rotten Tomatoes. That show only managed to score a measly 11%, so it can look forward to holding that spot for a long time. Heading to the top of the chart, Black Panther holds the MCU's highest movie rating at 96%, but the best rated MCU project overall is decisively Ms. Marvel, with a 98% rating that glows just like Kamala's powers do. We think it'll be equaled at some point, but topping it is next to impossible. Up next, a trigger warning for the newest Thor movie. While the MCU has dealt with dark and depressing themes before, it's never included anything that would require a trigger warning. But a large contingent of MCU fans are demanding Marvel Studios add a trigger warning to Love and Thunder because of one aspect of its storyline. You definitely know this by now, but the movie adapts Jane Foster's cancer storyline from Jason Aaron's seminal run on the comics. In the movie, Foster is undergoing chemo for her cancer, but every time she wields Mjolnir, the drugs are removed from her system, which allows her cancer to spread. Being Thor is sadly taking her closer to her own demise. The realities of life with cancer and chemo are shown graphically and honestly throughout the movie, and that could be triggering to cancer survivors or those who have seen loved ones die from cancer. It wouldn't be a huge deal for Marvel Studios to add that trigger warning, and we agree that it should have occurred to them before releasing the movie in the first place. Finally, if you're going to watch the movie, make sure to stick around. Of course, it's a given that you have to keep sitting through the credits of a Marvel movie. The only real question is how long you should stick around. In the case of Thor: Love and Thunder, there are 2 post-credits scenes, meaning you'll want to stay through the entire credits of the film. None of these are jokey scenes either, like the one in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse scenes. They're both important, so to speak, and they'll reward your patience. It's time for the clouds to part and the sky to clear, for this is the end of the video. What do you think of the deleted scenes we talked about today? Do you want a Waititi cut of the movie, or do you just trust his judgment in having removed those scenes in the first place? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.